right, guys, it is Canadian Music Week in Toronto, and we are hanging out with the iconic 5440 guys. Thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
And him.
And him. Can't remember his name.
You know, whatever. Been around a while, you know.
It's a function of age, right?
Yeah, it happens. Last night at the Indie Awards, you guys were inducted into the Hall of Fame, or the Walk of Fame, I guess they call it. Hall of Fame.
It's some fame thing.
Yeah, it's a fame thing.
Yeah.
You guys have been doing this since '81. It's a long time, but it doesn't seem that long, does it? Or does it?
Yes and no. You know, actually trying to remember 81 is easy. It's sort of 91, 2001, 11 that are tougher.
The harder days.
Yeah, you can remember the beginning and you can remember the last week. It's the in-between.
Last week.
It's a bit of a blur.
But how, you know, I was thinking about this on the drive down, you know, in '81 when you guys got together and started, we're an online portal, right? So that stuff didn't exist. This type of media didn't exist. But you guys in last year released an acoustic album that you recorded out in British Columbia. And the way that you went to market with it was probably far different than you would have back in '81. How has that changed for you guys? And how is it good or maybe not so great?
It's just part of the current, you know. It's like the movie Deliverance. it's a journey, and there was bumpy there for a while. You know, I think everybody was scared in the last maybe 2005, when it seemed like the whole bottom was falling out of the whole music industry, and nobody knew which direction it was going to go. Right? Because record stores stopped selling records, and record companies started laying people off, whatnot. Now it's rekindled itself again, which is kind of neat. So, you know, that's a big part of it. When we started out, there was no cell phones, I mean, you know, talk about a tour bus. When we got on a tour bus, I mean, you didn't phone home until you could find a phone and, you know, pay the long distance charges.
That's all true, yeah.
You know? So you wouldn't talk to home for a week or 10 days sometimes.
Yeah.
Now it's like, you know.
You don't hear from me in 10 minutes. They're
Yeah,
wondering
exactly.
why.
Where are you?
Yeah. So, you know, with that, you know, has the way you've created the music changed? You know, I know you guys are Vancouver based. You're all still out there, if I'm not mistaken. So is it still get together and jam it out, or is it more online in a sense?
Yeah, it's less jamming out. Well, we do use technology. Sometimes, you know, we jam it out, and then Neil will take it and work on it, and we come back to. But a lot of it's just happens. You know, just people do their own thing, and Neil comes in with stuff, and we try to make it a little bit better. And also Neil and Dave have worked quite closely on this record for parts as well. So, and that's all kind of new from the way we used to do it, which was just organically as a band, the 3 or 4 of us getting together and just playing, you know, 6 nights in a row, and me recording out my little Pioneer Ghetto Blaster with 2 condenser mics, and then so we knew what we did yesterday, and then we try to add on to that. And quite often we'd jam, and Neil would just go into like a trance-like state and just start kind of singing along, and then he would get little sort of words, turns of phrases that he liked, and write them down, and then expand on that later. So it's become more crafty, less arty.
Less arty.
Well,
right?
I don't have a less arty. That's not the way I said.
I think we all know what you mean, and if they don't, well, that's their problem.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, you know, as a fan of music for so long, I was just talking to the Headstones not long ago, and we actually brought up a show that they opened for you out in Winnipeg, where they were doused with a little bit of acid back in the day. And they were just talking about how, you know, their new album that they've put together, The Little Army, is just, you know, different than what they were doing in the 90s. And, but it's still the same vibe. Is that kind of how you guys feel? You know, being, you know, around and have been doing it for a while?
I guess it would really depend on what you mean by vibe. I mean, what sparks us and what you know compels us to sort of create. That's sort of always there. But you know, the reflection of ourselves and the world around us is clearly different than when we were, you know, in our 20s.
Yeah.
for instance.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's still just this ride that you go on, and we're at this stage of it right now. Still able and willing and wanting to create, right?
Yeah.
So,
I don't think that ever leaves you, though. You
I
know, or-
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're not interested in finding out, right? The live show that I've seen you guys play numerous times. Is it still what it felt like in '81? And is there new stuff that you're taking from the live performances today than you did back, in the '90s? Let's say, when you may not remember so much.
Well, I think when we started out, at least for myself, it was pretty urgent, pretty panicky, but in a good way. Back in those days, right? I mean, there'd be moments when I'd go on that stage, ready to die, seriously, ready to die if that's what it took to take the place somewhere, right? And now it's kind of like, the realization that you have more time and space. Like, it's a trippy thing to think about, but I can distill. It's like everything going in slow motion, like in a Star Trek episode or something like that, where there's that one episode, Star Trek?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the original series where, I don't know, Kirk or something's in some alternate thing where everybody is almost not moving, and he's moving normal speed.
Yeah, and it's very slow, I recall.
Yeah, very slow. In other words, so we can kind of get to that level. We're just playing that G chord, and we're all doing it at the same time. It's almost like we have 10 minutes to play that G chord that in real time takes a half a second.
Yeah.
But we're just there. It's and that's a neat feeling. That's different from the urgency and the panic, where it's like,
Gotcha.
And now it's like, and there's something really true and cool about that vibe. That's where we're at now.
Is it when you hit, every artist has that song, that when you hit that chord from the get-go, the crowd just ignites.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way that you, in the process of writing new music, that you take what you've learned from those songs to try to put into something new? Or is something new just something new? I don't know if that's a confusing question.
I think something new is something new until maybe you look at it in the rearview mirror and think that, well, it could be similar to something in the past. But we don't try to say, oh, this worked, 6 years ago, maybe it'll work today. We don't do that.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, because it feels pretty stale pretty quickly.
Yeah. Through the processes over the last couple of years, we've watched, you had made comment earlier of record stores closing, HMV just closed, digital downloads are kind of the wave of how everything's going. Vinyl has started to make a resurgence again.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys feel about that resurgence of vinyl, and is it something that you guys are going to definitely entertain in future for future releases?
The last record came
Was
out
on
on
vinyl.
vinyl. Yeah, this
Oh, yeah.
new record will be
Absolutely.
on vinyl as well.
Yeah.
For sure. And I take exception to the digital download thing because no one does that anymore either.
Streaming.
Yeah, streaming. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Yeah, even I stream. I'm with one of the streaming services, which will remain nameless, and
Yeah,
pay my monthly fee. And,
and get your feed of
Yeah,
what you want to
what I
hear.
wanna hear, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Gentlemen, thanks so much for doing this.
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Best of luck with the new album.
Thanks.